Something I'm excited about too, I just want to talk about tonight because a lot of us always talk about Dexter on this show, was Dexter New Blood and then Original Sin. And Original Sin, what Original Sin's doing, I'm very excited about. Can we talk about that? And our, of course, recorder? Dexter New Blood original was great for Dexter to have one more chapter, but after that, we're doing Original Sin now, going back in time. We've talked on this show before, but season 1 is debuted. There's 3 episodes out right now. I think it's interesting how they dropped 1 episode, and then this week they dropped 2 episodes. They've been kind of backwards. They don't usually do that before, but they've been going up. They had 2.1 million views within their first few days, and they're saying they're really happy about that. I've heard they want to do more seasons of this, but the one thing that I really want to talk about today, because we talked about this last episode, when we talked about this, I think it was 2 episodes ago. So what happens, Ron? I know Ron, GR, Laura, Jordan, we talked about this before. They actually do what I wanted. This show starts with Dexter not dying, and then he goes, "This is how I got here." And then he does this whole flashback and it shows himself growing up and he's narrating it as if he's like about to die and his whole life is flashing before his head, or before his, like, he dies pretty much. He's not going to die, but it's flashing before his eyes.
Brian, his
yes, not his eyes,
sure
not his
not
death.
Die?
Oh.
He could die.
I've had a few drinks already.
Why isn't Dexter
Really?
He's not going to die, Jordan, because Dexter Resurrection comes out in January. It's one of those June. It's one of those J words coming out in June, where Michael C. Hall comes back. They've already started shooting it. It's going to come out, and you're going to get one more season with Michael C. Hall back as Dexter. But this works. What they did for this show, it makes sense. We're taking it back when Harry was a cop, and Dexter's there as a young intern working in the blood splatter department, working in the forensics department, and it feels like Dexter with all the players we know from the original show, just younger. Even the guy who plays Masuka is like, and he does it so good. He does it so good. And the kid, I mean, honestly, like what we cast for Dexter is almost perfect, if you ask me. There's times where he almost uncannily like looks and feels like what he's doing. And Michael C. Hall doing the voiceover on top of it really works so well. I watched the first episode and I was like, oh, I'm hooked. And Christian Slater, guys. Christian Slater as Harry. I never thought I'd say this. I mean, I like Christian Slater, but he's perfect for this role. He's perfect. Across the board, this is genius. It feels like the crime of the week they had on Dexter every week, but then you're having Dexter like fight his urges and battle through. And they actually have in the first episode, they have a sequence where it ties back to the original season where you show his first murder, which is very interesting because again, he talked about before, but we recreate that him in the hospital with Harry in the hospital, and Harry's like suffering and almost dying. And Harry grabs him like, you know what you got to do. And then we do the whole first time where he kills somebody. And the girl who plays Deb is great. Honestly, I'm very thrilled with the show. I just had to say, I'm thrilled. I'm happy. I thought I was going to hate this shit. I thought I was going to hate it. I was going to be crapping on it, but no, I'm about it. And I want to see more. But can they keep living up to it? Can we do more seasons? Does it work better as a one-off? Because I think like the way it ties in, this show the season could literally end with Michael C. Hall waking up in the hospital, and we go into the next season of Dexter. Easily could be done, one and done. But knowing TV, it's doing great at numbers. And if there's an audience,
if it's making money,
what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're going to see more. I think that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And Laura, so you hear about that. I don't know if you saw this yet, but do you think that based off the numbers, based off what's happened, do you think they're going to probably keep going with this?
100%. And they have the space, because you think about current day Dexter to like flashing back to Original Sin, and there's a lot of time for a character to grow up. It's Patrick Gibson. I did look up who's playing younger.
Yeah, Patrick, he's so good.
He has the look, and from what I've seen, I haven't seen the show, but I've seen the trailers and things, and like he does seem to have the aura and the feel of how do we get to. I mean, I remember when I first watched Dexter, right? The thing about Dexter is he's so charming. He has that presence that makes guys want to be friends with him. Minus a couple people, we all know who they are. And girls romanced by him. And like, that is the quintessential figure that can get away and pull off a murder, right? So I think for sure we want to see how he got to that. And it doesn't happen in one season. It happens in multiple seasons. You have to falter and make mistakes to get to the like perfectionist that Dexter is. So there's plenty of room to play. And I think we're going to see more and more seasons of this, and it can be drawn out an extra. I mean, I think it's, did they establish, Brian, how old he is on the show? Because to me,
he just graduated. He's just graduating high school. So he's looking at colleges. Yeah. And he's been murdering
10, 15 years there. That's a lot of time.
A lot of time.
Learn lessons, like hone your craft as the charming guy.
Dexter Morgan.
Yes. Yeah.
And he just had his first murder. He's been murdering, of course, animals and stuff. But the way they tie it in, it's even showcasing him, trying to talk to the rest of the cops, and he's making some jokes that don't land. And he's like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that." "Oh, I'm not going to fit in doing that." That's interesting to me too. And I think that what we're doing, Patrick, too, is I think he kind of captured Michael C. Hall's presence. I think he really kind of figured it out. And of course, Michael C. Hall is very much involved, executive producer. He's doing the voiceover. It only makes sense. The show, the voiceover is his voice. Why not do it here too? And it's going to lead into what they're doing forward. I think this is kind of smart on their part. I think it works a lot better than the last season of Dexter actually worked. Because Harrison was a little bitch on that show. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to try to be like that. The way they wrote Harrison, I hated. I just think I get him having going through what he went through, not having Dexter in his life. I get that. But the way the actor just, I mean, it's a lot of choices, but it's also the script on top of that. I think they just didn't write Harrison to be what I would envision him to be, the hate and the drive to make him be who he's going to be as a character. I think he just felt like he was wishy-washy too much. Mm-hmm. So, and I hated that.
I was going to say, Brian, is there somewhere where people could see who your vision of Harrison is?
Yes, there is. It'll be attached to this link. You can watch the actual Harrison spinoff we created, and I think you'll actually see where we think we should go. We've been talking about it before. Maybe that'll still happen. Maybe it'll all lead in where Harrison can happen after their whole series is done. Could be good. Ron, we've been talking about this before.
We're hosts like Dexter. We're the audience that likes Dexter.
You can't get into it.
I'm just saying. Jordan can't get into it, Jordan says.
I tried. I got to episode 2.
What, on Dexter in general?
Yes.
Oh man, you ever watch? Dude, the problem is, can I tell you something, Jordan? Can I tell you something? You got to give it more time in Dexter season 1, because I would say when the first season starts, I don't think Michael C. I think he's good, but it's weird at first. It's hard to figure out his character.
Yeah,
after 4, it's tough. 4 episodes in though, you'll be hooked.
Die by TV rule, and I swear by this. And anyone can hold it against me if I'm wrong. 4 episode minimum, always.
You're wrong.
You watch the first 4. And if the first 4 don't work for you, then you drop the show. But it takes time
there was
to
a
establish and develop a storyline.
There was a show that hooked me since episode 1, and there's never been a show like it since. Prison Break.
No, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm saying that a good show may take 4 episodes to develop. Yeah. The 4 episodes is kind of the maximum where I've watched 4. If I'm not into it by 4, I'm out. Mm-hmm. But I was gripped by the X-Files by episode. I was in on 1, and then when they put in 2 is when Mythology started, and I was sign me up, subscribe all. But my live by die by TV rule, and I challenge anyone on this, is watch 4, and you will know whether you like it or not. True.
I agree, Laura. I agree.
Yeah.
You can't give up early on shows sometimes, because sometimes it's a pacing thing in the beginning, and then sometimes the writers are figuring out, and there's some shows that have gone for a long time, that have gone, and and you don't give it a chance, you're not going to catch a lot of this great magic. There's a lot of stuff in Dexter that's so good. And what Michael C. Hall does with that character is amazing. When I first watched the pilot, honestly, I'm going to tell you that I don't think the pilot was the best. I just don't think so. It took me some time to get used to his character and his performance and his delivery for everything. But once I was on board, I was on board. I did not want to stop watching it. I get it, Jordan. There are shows that I've been oh my, first episode, done. And you can't, and other episodes
I think that what hurt me about Dexter is it reminded me a lot of the older shows where there was a continuing arc in the first season, but it was like you said, the case of the week. It's kind of like the villain of the week. It's like that old 90s, like, you can pick it up anytime, like Law and Order, and you're like, oh, new case.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of those. But the thing is, Dexter has a big through line you don't catch right away. There's a big through line that does build. So it's not really like X-Files, like murder monster of the week. It doesn't have that. But there is always a character that he's always searching for his dark passenger to murder something and somebody. I know the chat's even like they hate this whole murder thing. That's like GR would say too. Huh? What was that, Lauren?
We're not doing great in the chat here.
No,
we're not doing great. X says nothing sexy or glamorous about real serial killers, and I'm like, Ted Bundy. I mean, that dude is just charming and good looking, and like he was the epitome of a sexy guy that tricked women. I agree that the overarching story is not, but I think. Well, I'm the wrong person to ask about this, or maybe the exact right person to talk about this. I'm a crime junkie. I love true crime. I love 2020. I find these stories about humans who don't think like humans being fascinating.
Every dude, there's serial killer documentaries that I've watched, and I'm like, oh, this is just a retread with a new face because I've seen this on Netflix, but now I'm watching it on Hulu.
Well, I love all the crime dramas. I love them all, Laura. I love them all. I can watch any of them. Get me in. Get me in.
I shouldn't say this because I'm a public figure. So, like, you should never say things like this, but I'm going to do it. I sympathize more with serial killers than I do with con men. Because in serial killer land, like, your brain's just broke in a certain area and you can't fix it. Like, it's just broken. Con men are, like, fully conscious and do terrible things to people knowing the ramifications and just don't have a sense of guilt. It's weird. I like Dexter because the whole point is that this person has something they can't control and they try to use it in what they view as justice. And I think the show questions whether or not that form of justice is okay. And we're looking through humanity's lens. And I think it is a fascinating lens to look down, and we can't just turn a blind eye to something that is really prevalent in our society, especially Los Angeles from the 80s to the 90s. Holy cow. Like, let's talk about how many serial killers were in Los Angeles.
Yeah. There were so many.
Why? And I think this show is a good lens on that in a certain type of way.
A lot of it has to do with, like, I just watched a documentary that was very interesting on serial killers and the prevalence through that time span of how it was so big. And it was basically because we didn't have the technology for blood samples at the time, or like law enforcement they weren't talking to each other. And like they're saying serial killers can never get away. Like that was just like the time of serial killers because they couldn't get away with all that shit. Nope. You can't get away with that shit today.
That was it.
Wild.
No. Because it's changed.
There was no DNA bank back then.
No, there's no DNA.
Just like everything we got away with in Gen X. No record.
No record.
Oh. All right, Ron, tell us about that a little bit, Ron.
There's no record.
It's called the season of justice now, and it has a lot to do with DNA testing and finding killers through DNA testing, and it's the season of justice. Yet still, if you follow true crime, there are people that are finding ways to pull this shit off, and it is astounding to me. That
TikTok. Just kidding.
Yeah, almost high, and you can still get away with a murder. And I think
only until January 19th, Brian.
Yeah, right.
No.
Ron.
And by the way, I'm sorry to all our fans. I'm just being honest. I hope you guys still love me in the end. I had just had fascinations with psychology. My degree was in zoology. I love humans. I love the way they think. And I love you guys for sticking with us through a conversation you're not necessarily on.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are like, screw serial killers, which 100%. Serial killers are the worst, Ron. They're the worst. They really are. And, that's the biggest part about television. Sometimes we do kind of like, make them bigger than life. We honor them in a lot of ways. We put them out there in a pedestal where like we're respecting them when we're caring about them. A lot of times, look at
like
you. That show you too.
Brothers?
Yeah, the Menendez brothers, another one. I mean, like there's also circumstances though there too. But Ron, with this, so Dexter, original sin, we're doing a prequel. The numbers are big, right? We love Dexter. You're hearing about this. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the first episode or not, but are you excited to see where they go with this? And do you think this is something that will maybe be something bigger than they thought it would be?
I think it's got that potential. I think it's one of those let's wait and see, what avenue the writers decide to take us down. And if it's something super, super cool that's worth exploring, this could just go on and on.
I think it really could, Ron, because the thing is, if you watch,
so many layers to this show that you can just keep picking. It's not a simple show, as you know.
yeah, not even close. And the fact that you're getting that early on, like early studying about what it is to be a serial killer, who he is, where he came from, how he's developing to. There's a lot of ways they go. There's a lot of stories. Like before, Ron, I'll tell you before when I heard about this show, I said, well, we already saw Dexter's past before, right? We had that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, we already saw his past. Why we gotta see his past for? We saw Michael C. Hall with that weird wig how many times? You know what I mean? We saw it. We saw the weird kid make him look like a kid. But this is different because again, the family dynamic, you see more of that. I think the acting spot on, and you're seeing a different take on the whole Miami Metro. You know, you're seeing it back in the time, and it feels as formulaic, but also interesting and different as the first show did. So now we're going into these crime scenes. They have all different characters showing up slowly and building, and you need to see how Michael C. Hall got so comfortable being part of the forensic department. Because again, there's like, how would he get there? You know, how would he become that comfortable? Right?
Right.
Are you all about that? Then you think this is something that could latch you in as much as Dexter can?
Oh yeah, I mean, I went to go watch it today, and I have to subscribe, and I just didn't have my wallet. I didn't know the number, so I got really lazy. Just do it. But no, I'm excited about it. But you know what really made me excited was after talking to you or texting with you, and you were so excited about this. So I'm like, I got to check this out. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited to see where it goes.
You came from one end of it to really the other side of that with what you saw.
I really did not think there was any world where I was going to be excited about this.
Right.
I was like, you know, recasting Dexter, but then like every little thing kept building up. And then the performances are great. What they've been doing, that's great. I think it's awesome. I really do think it's awesome. And I think what they're going to do is the right twist for this kind of Dexter franchise. And I don't think they're going to stop, Ron. I don't think they're going to stop.
There's probably no reason to.
No, the numbers are there, and if they have like the actors are ready for it, like why? Just keep going. Yeah, I do think it'll be a break. There'll probably be a little bit of time in between season 1 and 2 because of the new Dexter, but then maybe not. You know, they can work it back in, right?
Exactly. There's always a way to do it.
Yeah, I think so. GR, you gonna watch this? You excited? We're big Dexter fans here. Are you over this? You're gonna tell me a big Dilligaff, GR?
No, you know, I do have a prejudicial view because I kind of like his son.
You know, Harrison. Yeah, you know. So you want to see more Harrison?
Hey, you know, anybody that kills me, I gotta like. You know, anybody that's got the chutzpah to try to kill me, I gotta give him credit.
Do you think this would be a big
joke, folks?
Yeah. Do you think this would be a big thing, GR, for Paramount Plus?
I think it could be if they handle it right.
So are you gonna actually sit down and watch it? No, you haven't seen it yet, but you gonna sit down and watch it, GR? Because you hate villains. You hate villains.
Show.
I know, which is so different for you because you hate villains. You always say like you're glorifying a villain. You shouldn't be glorifying a villain. You tell me all the time, but you like this.
Well, it's a different kind of villain. I mean, he's not okay. How do I? Let me try to. I've had a few cocktails as well.
What?
There's a difference between a clown. Yeah, I know it's shocking. I'm still drinking.
What?
He's getting back in there.
But if you compare it to something like the Joker or those characters that are fictional, but they're bad guys from the get-go. Whereas a guy like Dexter, what didn't start out that way. Some finally snapped, some synapse up here finally disconnected, and now he can kill people with no regret.
No, not at all. Not one bit. It's like he has to. He has to feed that dark passenger, And I know people are hating on it, but
and I'm sorry I'm falling down on the chat over here, but bottom line is our viewers don't agree with us. I mean, I like the show because I understood the.
Now I know where to avoid this, secret agent man says.
No, we need to change the topic, Brian, and I have to take my camping blanket off.
Yeah. You know what people want, Jordan? I can't hear you, Jordan. I don't know why I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I think you're muted. But Jordan, you know what? You know what people want?
No, all I'm
Change the
shocked
subject.
is how this show is doing so well when nobody on our side likes this.
I know. But you know, Jordan, sometimes we have to hope for the best one day. And I think that I hope that Dexter will be good. Hope drives us home. I hope that Dexter will be good. I'm excited about it. If you're not, I'm sorry, but let me know in the chat. I love your comments. But Dexter, Original Sin, I think it's going to keep going.
Yo, player, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we are live. And if you are able to join our Patreon, please join. Because the Pepestar needs more snickety snacks. Because I'm hungry. Holla back. Love y'all.
Control.